Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to talk about the goldfish and filtration. What is actually needed for these animals to succeed, and I'm just going to tell you the truth because too many people are out there that don't exactly tell you the whole truth. That's going to be in this video, so stay tuned. You know, when we look at filtration, most filtration that's out there, in fact all of it, is geared for tropical fish, and that's the way it's geared. It is, you have to start multiplying it when you start having fish like Oscars, for example, that may eat a lot of live food. But most filtration systems are geared for just tropical fish, not for carp or goldfish. And we all know when it comes to filtration systems that they're geared to be easy for the consumer. You buy a canister filter, it has one of those little pump thingies on it that automatically fills up your canister filter for you. They're making them bigger and better today than they did years ago. At least they're making them more convenient. Let me put it that way. They're making them more convenient. But their design and how they're being set up are not really designed for goldfish. And if you look at the filtration systems that you see on YouTube, which a lot of people now are looking at YouTube for answers, you will find out a lot of, at least what I am seeing, a lot of goldfish aquariums that may have a little bit of substrate, and they'll have sponge filters, a couple of sponge filters maybe, and some hang on the back filters. And what you see in these videos is you see people constantly showing you all the new fish they bought and this, that, and other. I mean, look at them. They're constantly buying fish and showing you. It's like, well, how many tanks do these people have? You know, they got 100 tanks. What's going on with them buying constantly fish? Showing you this new fish and that new fish that they just bought, and this ranchu and this aranda that they just bought. To me, that kind of sends up a red flag. Because why are you buying so many fish? Do you have that many tanks? But anyway, goldfish are different than other fish because of the fact of it is that nobody really explains to you and tells you. First of all, they can grow very large. They're very, have a lot of mass to their bodies, just like a koi does, have quite a lot of girth, quite a lot of mass. So it takes specialized filtration system and a lot of filtration system for like a koi pond. And the same thing applies to goldfish. It takes a lot of filtration system, a lot of what we are using for tropical fish, we're trying to use it and apply it to goldfish. And if you watch goldfish throughout the day, they aren't a fish that like to fight or chase each other really, unless it's spawning. But basically what they like to do all day long is eat. Now imagine if you had a dog and it constantly ate all day. Just ate, ran around the house once, ate, ran around the house once, ate. What would the dog would be wanting to go out constantly. And let's face facts, you would have a yard full of its waste products in no time at all. That's why we curtail how much we feed our cats or dogs to once or twice a day, and then that's it. A lot of times, if you have like a cat, you can leave the food out all day if it's dry food because it doesn't feel threatened that another animal is going to come and eat it from it. And as soon as the animal learns that, oh, I don't need to constantly be by that bowl eating 24/7, I can go relax and I can come back and see nothing's touched it. But with goldfish, than other fish, since they don't seem to have much of a pecking order. They don't like to fight constantly. They swim and eat. If you have plants, they will constantly swim and eat. Right now you can see they're going up to the top of the aquarium. They're looking for food. They see me here. They're looking for food. They're constantly looking for food. That's why it explains why goldfish are not wanted in freshwater systems, because they will eat all the plant life and eggs and everything else, because they are constantly doing nothing but swim and eat. Swim and eat. And then if you can get them to spawn, they will spawn. So because of this, goldfish create a lot of waste. But in turn to that, they have a system to release ammonia very quickly and very easily compared to other animals, such as, let's say, like a shark, for example, can't release ammonia very easily. And some animals don't release ammonia, they release urine, as far as fish are. Rays and sharks are one of them. But because carp are so efficient at releasing ammonia, you have a constant supply of a waste going into your aquarium 24/7. Because they are constantly eating, picking on plant matter. As you can see, the fish behind me, they're constantly picking on plant matter. They're constantly going towards the gravel, scooping it up, looking for food, spitting it out. This is what they do all day. Like the scenario I just gave, if you did it to a dog and just fed it all day long and it had competition, it would just eat all day long too. Humans are just about the same way. But because of these animals don't almost know when to stop. And anyone who's had an Oscar and has fed Oscars, goldfish, they would literally just eat. Their bellies would be so fat, now have a fish hanging out of their mouth trying to swallow it. And they've had so much to eat. Because of this with carp, and because of the way they constantly are foraging, constantly digging up, constantly eating in the aquarium nonstop, we as humans control that. We give them food when we want to give it to them, and they gobble it down like it's their last meal. If you usually put a feeder on your tank, a lot of people complain about automatic feeders, the fish just hang around the feeder all day. They don't swim around anymore. They know that every hour or whenever the feeder is set up, it's going to drop in food. So they sit right there waiting for the food to drop. And some people then remove their feeders because of that. The fish aren't acting normal anymore. They're just waiting for food. Goldfish, you have to have plant matter. So a lot of people don't have plant matter, so they could eat. And that's something when you go to a store that they don't exactly tell you. Goldfish like plants. You need to feed them plant matter. That is their main diet. So when we build an aquarium for goldfish, and I'm like you, so I right with you, when I first started having goldfish, I was told this is the way to do it. This is how you do it. And your goldfish will be happy. Well, it didn't work out. No matter what I tried, wet dry filters, churning filters with medium in it that churn constantly. So all that is designed to do. Churning filters is so they don't become clogged up with detritus and dirt and everything. So they're churning just so they don't become clogged up, and bacteria grows on them and doesn't have to worry about getting clogged up. That's, sand filters are the same way. They churn so they don't become clogged up with detritus and things like that. That's all that's designed for. We tried wet dry filters. And of course, when people are selling you filters, and I remember this quite plainly as if it was yesterday, Eheim came out with a wet dry filter, and I remember the store owner even say that I couldn't keep discus until I start using this Eheim wet dry filter. That filter made a big difference for the discus, because they came out with wet dry filters with spray bars. It's the little spinny thing and squirted water all over the medium. Those didn't work for goldfish. even though they break down ammonia 30% faster than other filters, but they didn't work. Anything I tried did not work. No matter what people told me, I couldn't get goldfish in an aquarium to live very long. Or you come out with red fins, and then that starts coming out with all kinds of problems of their tails decaying, and you're wondering, okay, what's going on? I don't have ammonia. I don't want to be subject to a slave of my aquarium where I'm changing water every single day or twice a day just to have goldfish. But when you buy goldfish, this is what they're going to tell you. They'll tell you anything to sell them to you. They're your problem after you buy them. And you see this on a lot of YouTube channels. You see a lot of turnover of fish. And goldfish are very hard to keep. I've gotten comments from people that have made the comment of, I've tried that way, you know, what everybody has been telling me, and I'm not successful. And those ways work with tropical fish, but they don't work with an animal that constantly wants to pick on food and constantly making a waste product. Those filtration systems don't work very well with these kind of animals that are heavy bodied and constantly looking for food and nonstop. You know, they're not worried about like tropical fish of how I can beat you up and how I can be the alpha male. They're not worried about doing that. They're worried about eating and swimming. Eat and swim. Eat and swim. So the filtration systems we have today, and I've tried them, and I was in the same boat as all of you, don't work. Until I came out with an anoxic filter. Because there's something missing. There's something that the animals, they create a lot of waste. There's something that needs to be taken out of the water. And it could even be hormones also need to be taken out of the water. So you will have growth of your fish. And some fish won't grow because they've been given hormones at the growers just to get them big enough so they can get a better market on the fish. Those fish are pretty well doomed of they're not going to grow, or they could be stunted already on their growth. But I've seen people buy a fish and within 1 year, the thing was as big as a grapefruit using an anoxic filtration system. Okay, big difference. So whatever is happening, and if you are one of those hobbyists who are watching all these videos and you see these sponge filters and they put a little gravel at the bottom and they have hang on the back filters, this is a very inexpensive way to have an aquarium. But on the other hand, does it work without you having intervention of making more work for you to keep their environment clean and safe? When you go to college and you take up, like I did, ichthyology, you take up limnology, you take up microbiology, one thing you find out is you go out and get a goldfish and you look at the goldfish and you find out all the parasites on it. It will have at least 3 different parasites on it and at least 9 different bacteria that could affect the fish in one way or another. Just like we as humans have parasites on us, where if you put a piece of tape on your forehead and pull it off and look at it under a microscope, the odds are you're going to find a parasite. No different than fish. But they live with these parasites as we live with our parasites on a constant basis. They don't affect the animal. They won't bother the animal until the animal becomes stressed. Then you'll have these bacteria all of a sudden accelerate and affect the animal, or you'll have one of the parasites that are on the fish continuously. They will now affect the animal. A lot of people will think it's temperature. Oh, I have to keep my goldfish at 78. Goldfish like between 60 and 70 degrees, 60, 75. That's good enough for them. They at 50 degrees, they're not going to eat. Don't feed them. They're not really going to eat much at 50. but their metabolism starts speeding up and their immune system starts kicking in at about 60 degrees and continues on from there. Goldfish can be held in a variety of temperatures, anything from freezing cold all the way up to 90 plus degrees. They can live very comfortably. Because of that, they're very residual, and they have to have a immune system on them that protects them in extreme colds and extreme hot, compared to other fish that don't. Your tropical fish, they have a small little window that they need to stay in, and if you take them out of that window, boom, they get sick. Their immune system's shut down. If you make it too hot, your immune systems could wind up shutting down. So we have this small window with tropical fish. Goldfish, on the other hand, can take extreme cold, even below the thermal cold that we think of as 0 degree Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. They can even take colder than that. As long as the water is not freezing, they can take this extreme cold and come out of it, whereas other fish cannot. So they do have a good metabolism, a good immune system, but because of this system that they have, I thought to myself, well, if that's such a good immune system, why are my fish not living? And I hear people now even telling me, I've tried their way, it did not work. So, I'm going to try your way because it's not working for me. And no, it didn't work for me either. I'm going to tell you that right now. It didn't work for me either. And I'm being honest with you. It just didn't do it for me. And yet people are advocating this, but what they aren't telling you is the fish don't live as long as some of the books claim or some people claim. And even I can claim it. 15, 17 years for goldfish, and a lot of people can't keep them alive more than a year or two. And that's it. They wind up succumbing to something. And that's only because the filtration systems we're using are designed for tropical fish, and they're not designed for an animal that's eating 24/7. And that's all goldfish do is eat. Look at them, watch them. They're constantly digging in the substrate. They're constantly picking on plants. They're constantly looking for food. They never stop looking for food because they are constantly eating. So what I found out because of this, because once you get a lot of algae in your aquarium, which I'm trying to grow right now, they will constantly be picking on that algae 24/7 until the lights go out. That is what they do. They're carp. That's what carp do. That's why they don't want carps in our freshwater systems, because they destroy the system. They destroy all the plant life. They destroy everything because they're constantly eating. That is what they do. Goldfish are nothing but carp. So we need a system that can handle them. This is why I did what I did. Made this plenum the way I made it, with the kitty litter, the BCB baskets inside of the canister filter. This is the only way, and I'm being honest with you, I could keep goldfish alive for years and years. A conventional filtration system cannot keep up with the waste product that these fish are making. It can't keep up with it unless you are going to dedicate water change after water change after water change, because their immune system is only so good. And as I told you in past videos, the woman who had goldfish for 10 years, and she had beautiful fish, and they wouldn't live. And they just kept dying, kept getting sick, she kept getting chemicals. And this is one thing that stops once you use a filtration system like this. Now, I can't make you use this filtration system. That's entirely up to you. A lot of people won't use it because it's more work to make it. But within a day, you can have the whole system made and done. But it's more work than what they want to put into it. They'd rather just take a bag of sand, throw it at the bottom aquarium, get a couple sponge filters, which are $10 a piece or less, throw them in a tank with with a cheap pump and have it hang on the back filter or two. And that's what they think they're going to have success with that. Unfortunately, no, you're not going to have success with that. There's things that affect goldfish, like nitrates and phosphates and things that are constantly not being told to the hobbyists that they don't like in an aquarium like this. And those things are taken care of inside an oxyfiltration system. And this is an oxyfiltration system because it is creating anoxic conditions. And most people think that when I talk about anoxic, I'm talking about anaerobic. No. Anaerobic conditions are different than anoxic. Anoxic only means low level oxygen. So this filtration system, your BCB baskets, they are all anoxic. They are low levels of oxygen, not void of oxygen, only low levels of oxygen, where there is a bacteria that does everything you want it to do. It will consume oxygen, take oxygen from phosphates, which was proven by Dr. Franco in Italy in his goldfish tank. He also proved that making BCB baskets and putting them in his goldfish tank, not only were the goldfish more active and alive, but he also found out there was a dead goldfish he could not get to that had died in the aquarium, and it never presented a problem in his aquarium. This was all written into his blog and his research that he did when he found out about BCBs. So there's something that it is doing that other filtrations cannot do. When you do something like this or put BCBs in a canister filter, you've seen my videos on how I pack a canister filter. I leave all that medium, those rings and sintered glass, I leave all that out of the canister filter. It's not needed. You put the BCB in there and you put your carbon in there. You put things to polish and clean the water in there. That's what you put in your canister filter. The BCB baskets will take care of your ammonia, nitrates and nitrites and nitrates and phosphates and stuff like that, along with your substrate. And like I said, in an aquarium, in a pond, I just make nice big BCB baskets. I mean, they're big. And you just stack them up in there. And you can let the goldfish live with the BCB baskets. People have done that in their home. They make like a in-home pond. And they put these baskets, they put plants in the basket and put them in their pond. And the goldfish are fine with no other filtration. Just using that. They'll maybe have a waterfall or something with a sponge on it, to pick up detritus and dirt. But other than that, that's it. They don't have any big filtration systems. I had not a big filtration system for all the fish I had in my pond. It was a very simple filtration. A pre-filter went to the Noxic filter. Noxic filter went into the main koi pond, and that was it. No big wet-dry filters. No big Nexus filters. No, everything was inexpensive, but it worked. And that's what shocked people. How could you make a filtration system that's so easy, and yet you have this amount of fish, and they grow just as big as everybody else's pond's fish that are 5-7 times bigger than your pond, and the fish look so healthy and not get sick. Remember, I had koi that were over 30 years old going through Chicago winters using an anoxic filtration system versus other people using all these very expensive filtration systems. It's because of the way it works and what it does and how it provides for your animals. The 90-gallon aquarium now is just on autopilot. It doesn't have algae. The plants are growing, no algae. It's on autopilot, and that has 90 fish in it. Okay? That 90-gallon has 90 fish in it. Water change once a week. That's all. I don't even gravel back. I just water change it once a week. Still no algae, still no string algae. Canister filter now is going on 3 months it's been running. My redox is 375. I don't need to change a canister filter. It's not presenting a problem. I still have a lot of oxidizers, so it's not polluting the aquarium. Same thing with this. You're going to find out that when you build something like this, and if you're now watching my channel and you want to have these animals and you're going to pay a lot of money for them, you have choices. But this is a choice that I found out works for me. I've been through it the same as you. It's your choice, of course, what you want to do. You can keep watching the videos that show you put a bag of sand in the bottom. It's real simple. Or you can go with this. So until next time, I want to thank you for watching. I hope you maybe will be a little more convinced that I went through the same problems as everybody, but I have learned to solve those problems for you. There's not much more I can do about that, but I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, this is Dr. Novak. Happy fish keeping.